Is Jesus God? This question has been debated for centuries, drawing strong opinions from believers and skeptics alike. Many people struggle with the idea that Jesus, a man who walked the earth, could also be divine. But what if the answer has been in plain sight all along? What if the Bible itself provides undeniable evidence of Jesus' divinity? Before we continue, if these videos are of any interest to you, we kindly ask that you press subscribe. It does a lot to help this channel grow and reach a greater audience so that we can share the truths of God with as many as possible. In this video, we will explore key biblical passages that reveal Jesus as God. By the end, you might find yourself seeing Jesus in a way you never have before. So let's dive in. Jesus' divinity in the Bible. The Bible does not shy away from the question of Jesus' divinity. In fact, it boldly affirms it. Let's examine some of the most compelling verses that point directly to Jesus being God. John 1 verse 1, "The Word became flesh. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." This verse is foundational in Christian theology. John tells us that Jesus, referred to as the Word, existed from the very beginning and was not only with God, but was God. Later in John 1 verse 14, he confirms that the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, identifying Jesus as the divine Word made human. This passage establishes that Jesus was not created, but has always existed as God, reinforcing his eternal nature and divine identity. John 8 verse 56, Abraham saw Jesus' day. Jesus says, "Your father Abraham rejoiced that he would see my day. He saw it and was glad." This statement stunned Jesus' listeners. How could Abraham, who lived centuries earlier, have seen Jesus' day? To understand this, we can reference Genesis 18, where Abraham encounters three visitors, one of whom is referred to as the Lord. Many scholars and theologians believe this was a pre-incarnate appearance of Jesus, a theophany. Jesus' statement implies that he existed long before his human birth, and that Abraham, through divine revelation, saw and understood the coming of the Messiah. Jesus also notes that when Abraham saw him, he did not seek to kill him, as the people of Judea had tried to do. John 8 verse 58, "Before Abraham was, I am." Perhaps one of the most powerful declarations of Jesus' divinity is found in this verse, "Before Abraham was, I am." The phrase "I am" is not just a grammatical anomaly. It is a direct reference to Exodus 3 verse 14, where God reveals himself to Moses as "I am that I am." By using the same divine title, Jesus unequivocally claims to be God. This is why the Jewish leaders immediately picked up stones to stone him. They understood exactly what he was claiming. Jesus was asserting his eternal existence and divine authority, placing himself on the same level as Yahweh, the God of Israel. Revelation 19 verse 16, "King of kings and Lord of lords." On his robe and on his thigh, he has a name written, "King of kings and Lord of lords." This verse describes Jesus' return in glory, reigning as the supreme ruler over all. The title King of Kings and Lord of Lords is reserved for God alone, yet it is given to Jesus, confirming his divine authority. Throughout the Bible, only God is described as the ultimate sovereign over all things. Yet Jesus assumes this title, proving his divinity and absolute power over creation, rulers, and nations. Revelation 22 verse 13, "The Alpha and the Omega. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and the end." These words, spoken by Jesus, mirror the descriptions of God in Isaiah 44 verse 6 and Revelation 1 verse 8. Jesus is not merely a prophet or a teacher, he identifies himself as eternal, existing before creation and reigning beyond time. The title Alpha and Omega signifies that Jesus is the source of all existence and the culmination of all things, further solidifying his divine nature. This is one of the key verses that we have in our heavenly arsenal to disprove any doubters who attempt to lessen the importance of Christ. Colossians 1 verse 15, "The image of the invisible God." He is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of all creation. Paul describes Jesus as the perfect representation of God, making the invisible God visible to humanity. The term firstborn here does not mean Jesus was created, but rather speaks to his preeminence and authority over all creation. In Jewish culture, the firstborn was not necessarily the oldest, but rather the heir and ruler. Jesus is the visible manifestation of God, revealing God's character, power, and authority to the world. Isaiah 9 verse 6, Everlasting Father. For to us a child is born, to us a son is given verse, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. This prophecy about Jesus explicitly calls him Mighty God and Everlasting Father, titles that are used for God himself. Isaiah foretells a child who would be far more than a man. He would be divine. He possesses the eternal and caring nature of God, ruling over his people with divine authority and everlasting love. Conclusion. Throughout the Bible, Jesus' divinity is revealed through his words, his actions, and the testimony of Scripture. He is the Word made flesh, the great I Am, the King of Kings, and the Alpha and Omega. These verses provide undeniable proof that Jesus is indeed God. If this video has given you a new perspective, we encourage you to explore these scriptures further. And if you enjoyed this discussion, please subscribe to our channel and support us as we continue to bring biblical truths to light. Thank you for watching, and may you be blessed in your journey of faith.